Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Luke Pretty. I'm the head of education at Yotta One, and today we're going to be talking about how to pitch your game to publishers. Who better to tell you about that than a publisher? Yotta One has been publishing games since 2011. We've published hit games like Crossy Road, Rodeo Stampede, Transformers Earth Wars, and many more. So we've learned a lot about how to publish, but we've learned also a lot of other things too. Along the way, we learned how to make the most money with a game. In 2019, we launched a platform for ad monetization called MAS, Managed Ad Services, and we've been since then helping thousands of developers make more money with their games. Well, today I have a very special guest. He is the head of publishing at Yotta One, an expert in the industry. So, SK, welcome. It's great to have you. I'm excited for the conversation.
Nice to meet you all.
Thanks a lot for doing this. I really appreciate it. I know you're a busy guy. So
This is welcome.
maybe just to start off, SK, you could just give a little bit of background to talk about what you do at Yotta One, and then we can kick off the conversation.
Okay. So I joined the Yotta One in 2012. So I'm in charge of the Yotta One publishing since then. So now Yotta One has more than 1.1 billion total players globally.
Is it that many?
Yes, 1.1 billion. As Luke mentioned, some of our hit games like Ski Safari, we have more than 300 millions in China. And the Rodeo Stampede, it is already, after we launched in 2016, it's already for more than 5 years old games, but it is still doing well until now. And we have around 280 million users globally. And before, in 2015 and to 2018, we published in the Crossy Road. It's a world well-known casual game, especially for the tier 1 US countries. And Transformer The Earth War is a hardcore SLG game. It's a Transformer IP authorized by Hasbro to the UK famous developer Space Ape, and we help them to publish in China.
Yeah, I mean it's quite a track record, and I know you're responsible for a lot of it. So I think what really someone watching this would like to learn generally is, okay, how do I get some of that knowledge and get some insight from, the people who know this industry really well, and especially as a publisher, we know what we're looking for. So I'm curious, for a smaller studio, what are some of the things in general that publishers are looking for when they're deciding to publish a game, which game they're going to publish?
Yeah, so this is a great question. So as we all know that publishing is actually a complex process, including different sessions from picking up the right game, then optimize the ecosystem, monetization system, promotion, user acquisition, get more users, even the long-term operation, etc. But we do have, in the beginning, we'll look at some key points. So I think first one is the core teams, the developers' teams experience. So what genre they are good at, what project they did before, and how is the performance. And then the developer should know the game they made for which target audience. This is also very important. Yeah. And the third one is the game itself. What the innovation or difference with the other competitors, the other same genres game, if the key things are polished, like the art style, the control, the code game loop, and the ecosystem. Yeah, so these three things we will look at in the beginning.
So, these are all categories of things a publisher would look at. From that, I'm guessing that someone who's doing something like clones is unlikely to get published, who's making a lot of clone type games. Is that accurate?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. So in this market, sometimes there's this big trend. Then a lot of developers jump in the trend and doing the same things. But we can see that it is very hard to get big success. I know it's seems easy, but actually, when a lot of people doing the same thing, it's always come to make money.
Right, but then your game kind of gets lost in the ocean of other games that are just like yours. So for someone who wants to get published, being unique is a good thing. Having a very unique game that stands out is a good thing, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, what about common mistakes? I mean, we're going to get to the pitching part of it, but I want to just kind of build up some background knowledge. So, what are some of the common mistakes that smaller developers might make, or many developers make when it comes to positioning a game to pitch to a publisher?
Yes, I think it's also a quite good question. So the mistakes I believe are also related to the key things actually I just mentioned we are looking for. So the game development needs to be summarized and accumulate for in an area and for years. So you are really good at and focusing instead of just following the others and change the hot spot continuously. So this is the first thing. About the innovation, my opinion is a micro innovation is a good way. I mean, micro innovation. So learn from the success experience, the success games as a base. So the possibility of the innovation success will be much higher than doing a pure innovation. So sometimes if you made a gameplay that the players never saw it before, it always means a big risk.
I
So
see.
macro innovation is a good way. Yeah, we stand on the shoulder of the giant.
That's a good way to
Yeah,
say it.
yeah.
That's really interesting. So there's a balance between making a game that's unique and familiar and going crazy and coming up with something nobody's ever seen, and then people just don't know what to do. What do I do with this game? It's too innovative, basically, right?
Yes. In China, there is a very big, actually, is the world famous biggest gaming company called Tencent.
Hmm.
Yes,
I've
Tencent,
heard of it.
their methodology is they have a lot of experience on the gaming market. They saw a lot of different kind of games and genres, so they did the macro innovation very well. Yeah.
Could I just ask another question about that? Because I think I know what that means. Micro innovation, is that about the game mechanic, or is that what would be some examples of a micro innovation, a small innovation?
Mm. Yeah, this is good. I can give you some examples. So we can take like Crossy Road or Road Stampede. These two games we publishing and doing, I think is doing great globally. Like Crossy Road is this game mechanic is very familiar, especially in the Western
It's
market.
Frogger, right?
Uh, yes, Frogger. Yes,
Yeah,
a lot
everybody
of
knows Frogger.
people they played. Yes, everybody knows when they was a kid, they played in the machine. Yes, it's a famous game, co-gameplay. And Crossy Road, they use this gameplay and for make different characters in this game, this environment. Then different characters have different performance, making very funny things. Yes, this is actually a collection system. So this is a co-gameplay plus micro innovation collection system make the game great. Yeah, like Rodeo Stampede.
Yeah.
It's also running game, co-gameplay. The cowboy catch the animals in the game. He can catch different kind of animals. Then there is also a simulation system to raise up the animals and the collection of the animals. It's also A plus B plus C multiple system together, but it is very normal.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's interesting gameplay, Rodeo Stampede, but whenever I watch, I've seen a lot of influencers playing Rodeo Stampede online, and when I see that, what they're always talking about is, I'm going to collect this, I'm going to collect that. So the gameplay is there as a way to get to that. So that's actually really interesting. So you would suggest people start thinking about, how do I micro innovate but still make sure my game is familiar and people feel at home
Yes,
with the game?
definitely.
Cool.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So go back to the some mistakes we may meet is also another thing is really think about the target audience carefully, and all the the art style, the system, and the design should really serve this audience, make them satisfactory. So take an example, if you make a game for popular casual players, so don't use the hardcore art style and the complex system that they can't understand. That's what I mean. And the fourth thing is no need to show the game to publisher until it is almost done. So when you have a co-game play loop and finished and polished, even it's a prototype, so you can ask more feedback from publishers, then you have time to optimize. Yeah, that's
So
all my opinion.
you should be pretty close though to being ready before you actually show it to a publisher. Otherwise it's going to,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, you just need the code game loop. Like the Rodeo Stampede, actually, we look at the first time we look at the game is in 2015, in the end of 2015. It's not a very accomplished game, but the code game loop, including the running, the very simple zoo. I mean the
Yeah.
sky zoo. Yes, right. And also they showed us how the simulation system is simple, but we can see the code game loop is okay. But I mean we can see the art style, the control is very well polished. So right. we see it's a great game. Yeah.
Well, that actually ties into my next question, because part of that is when to pitch. So get ready to pitch when you have a clean core game loop and your art styles are pretty polished. But sort of as a bigger question, put yourself in the shoes of an indie developer who's interested in getting published. How do you do it? I mean, what's the best way to actually do the pitch part, right?
Mm-hmm.
The actual
yes.
pitch to the publisher.
Yes, pitch is it's always need practice. You know, we have a way to practice pitch is our pitch club. It's a good way to improve your pitch, and in a very short and especially for first glance, give the best impressions to the publisher is very important. So I don't think from the materials is not hard. First, prepare summarize the deck, the PPT introduction, including the team introduction, target audience for this game, the innovations key points or difference between the other games, and the core game loop. If you did some test or geo test, you get some metrics. It's better to list the metrics in the introduction, like the retention from day 1, day 7, day 15, and the updoor, how is the monetization side, and if you have. And the second one is a game video, a cool game video to show to developer how the game play looks like. It's fast for them to get the first idea. And also the test fly or playable build to experience. Yeah, this is a thing. But I think it's make this simple and clear to the developer to the publisher is a good way.
Right. So the deck is important. The test flight, something that they can actually get their hands on to play. But you mentioned the part of actually, pitching the presentation. So how important are the pitching skills themselves, and what are the things that a developer is looking for in that part, the actual presentation of it?
Yeah, I don't think it need a long time or a lot of pages. It's just 5 to 8 pages, but to make the most important things clear, especially like the innovations, the key point. What's the difference between your games and the others? This is also very important for the publishers. So when we, as a publisher, we see different kind of games. If we see a lot of the same genres game in the past years, but when we see it looks like A or B, a lot of games looks the same. We feel the interesting at the first time. Yeah, so this is a very important thing. If we can see, it looks a little different from the others, we want to try it, then you have a chance to have a deeply conversation.
So focusing on the unique point will maybe push the publishers to want to actually test out the playable version and play around with it a little bit, because they're curious about, what's this is a little different. At least I want to see what it's like. And that's your chance to kind of hook them, right?
Yeah. Or you have a great metrics if you have.
Yeah. Right. Have you ever been or seen a pitch or been pitched to, and it was just amazing, the best pitch you've ever seen?
I can't say I saw that, because before, when we have the rodeo, they don't have a very elegant PPT introduction, but the build is here. And we play the core gameplay. Everything is very well polished. Yes. So actually, even they only have they use 1 year to make the prototype elegant.
So part of the pitch itself is just having something really solid to present, and that's the preparation part, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Sense. Yeah. That's great advice. I think that's really useful to someone who maybe doesn't have a lot of experience presenting, because a lot of developers that we talk to, they like the game part but don't really think about the business part. But the pitch is really the business part. So something that you have to focus on as well if you want to get published. But what if someone is not published, or they may not get published? What are the best ways to, if I've got a game, I may never get published, what are the best ways to grow my game?
Okay, so as Youdoo, we are not only the publishers. As you mentioned, we have an open service platform. We in the past 10 years, we learned a lot from our publishing games business, but not stop on this. Is we making all of our methodologies to become an open platform service, like managed as a service you mentioned. It is we conclude from all the games from 1.1 billion users, how we monetization from all these players, from ads monetization, make it a great service. So we do know how to help the developer earn more money from ads monetization, especially for the casual games. And I think the developers still can use our platform service, help them doing great and get success.
Yeah, I mean that I talked to quite a few developers myself directly who are using Maz, and it's kind of the same thing. I mean, many of them have been doing it on their own from the beginning, and they're using Maz to optimize their ads, and they're making a lot more money with their ads, and they don't have to actually do anything because uh, Maz sort of takes care of everything with AI. So if those watching, if you want to check out Maz, we will have a link that you can click on if you want to check out how to better optimize your ad monetization. As I mentioned, it is driven by AI. As SK said, we learned how to monetize over 1 billion players, so we know what we're doing, and then we built all of that into this ad monetization platform called Maz. It really, really works well and performs well worldwide. So check that out. That's in the link. Also, I wanted to mention we want to get to a couple questions, SK, some follow-up questions if that's okay. But I wanted to mention just quickly, we are preparing for a game competition. There is a prize for the winner of the competition. There's a second and third place prize as well. The first place prize is $1,000. If you're interested in submitting your game to the competition, to joining the competition, it's really a celebration of games, a celebration with our partners, and it's going to be a really big event. So if you're interested in that, if you'd like to submit your game, check the link, and you can also scan the QR code. You'll see a QR code there as well. You can do either one of those and submit your game. There should be plenty of time to do it, but I would recommend getting in as early as possible. Okay, we do have a couple of follow-up questions. SK, do you mind answering a few?
Of course.
All right, cool. Just a couple questions here that we collected from some developers. This is actually a good one, I think. What's the best way to get in touch with publishers? So by email or directly in person at events, what's the best way to actually connect with a publisher?
Yes, I think event is a traditional way. I mean, if the virus the virus gone, it's better to have a face-to-face meeting and communication. But the webinar is also a good. Yes, the webinar is also a good way to get the event. And if you have some target publishers in your mind, like you know your the game genre and who is the top publishers in this genre, you also can use the email to connect them directly. It also can get a good feedback.
Email directly works too. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Okay, is it hold on? Is it possible for games in tier 3 countries to get published?
I think the game is no limitation for countries or area. It only depends on if the game itself is great. As I mentioned, in innovation, macro innovation, polish is if all these things good, no matter the countries.
So game publishing is the great equalizer, equal opportunity for everybody as long as your game is good.
Yeah, everyone has a chance.
No excuses for making bad games then. That's what that means.
Yes.
Okay, I think we have one more question here. This one is actually about Maz. Would you advise using Maz before getting published?
Yeah, I think it's also works because if you can even before you have an official published by a publisher, you can do some tests yourself, like GeoTest on Google Play. You can integrate Maz because I do believe that Maz on global market has a good performance, even in different area. So we are very confident for that. Then you can integrate Maz to get some metrics like retention, your impressions per DAU, and you have these metrics. Also, Yoda One can look at these metrics to help you, give you advice to improve your games. It's also a good way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too. I mean, so if you're using maybe mediation, and maybe that's going okay, but it's very time consuming. It's very difficult to do because it takes a lot of effort. So, no matter what stage you're at, you can be making more and better optimizing your ads, and it's much less effort. So it's kind of a no-brainer in my view. SK, I really appreciate your time. It's been great talking with you. Is there any other parting advice you'd like to share with newer developers or less experienced developers to give them a head start before we say goodbye?
Yes. Thank you very much, and much appreciate. I do hope everyone can earn a lot of money in gaming industry, but I worked in the mobile game industry for more than 16 years. So my first opinion is find your right way. Which genre is you really good at or focusing, and keep learning and working in this area, this genre, because we do look at some very big and hit success. They all follow this way.
So the advice is you can follow your passion. You can build what you're excited about, and and it's actually, I think one thing that I really try to communicate is, this might be a passion, but it's also a business. So think about it too as your business. It is the thing you maybe like to do. It's fun. You enjoy making games, but it's a business too. And focusing on that side of it is just as important. And that might mean better ad monetization, but also better pitching skills, better, building up a really solid pitch deck for your game. All of that stuff is more on the business side, just as important to keep the dream alive. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you all so much for joining. And SK, thank you for your time and expertise. Always great to have you. Those who are interested in the game competition, you can submit 2 games to the competition if you're interested. I'll be checking out some of those. I'm kind of involved in the process. It's a really cool thing. The sooner you submit, the better. So be sure to check out the competition, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks a lot.